Here is the recipe that I cook in this video. Feel free to screenshot, write it down, or copy from the description. This recipe for a weeknight patty melt took me quite a few iterations to perfect. I found in my testing that the traditional recipe just didn't work for me. I'll show you what I ended up doing instead. The biggest hurdle was the caramelized onions. Now, don't get me wrong, sweet and savory, without a hint of that bitter onion flavor, I understand the appeal. But they take way too long for the weeknight, typically needing to cook for a full hour. And once you have them on the sandwich, they taste great, but the final sandwich ends up with the texture of soggy meatloaf. The solution I found is to use a Vidalia or sweet onion like I have here and slice it into a flat ring, with the middle few rings knocked out. These onions have less pungency, so we retain some sweetness, and we are going to sear it to get some of those caramelized flavors. But mainly, we will gain some much needed textural contrast in the final sandwich. Another problem was the bread. Thick sliced rye bread is the normal choice, but I'm recommending Texas toast. The reason is that I can't easily find rye bread that is cut thick enough, and whole unsliced loaves are not available at my local supermarket. Use rye if you can find it, but the thick slice is necessary to hold up all the toppings we are putting on this thing. Just spread softened butter on one side of 2 slices of your bread. We're going to be putting cheese on the unbuttered side, so don't worry about that. For cheese, I am once again departing from tradition and using pepper jack. This is creamy and delicious when melted, adding just a hint of much needed heat to the sandwich. The meat, at least, is the same as tradition dictates. Ground beef, preferably chuck, with at least 20% fat. I have a pound here that I'm going to divide into 4 quarter-pound portions. I'm going to take 2 of these and gently roll them into balls. The other half pound I will refrigerate for another patty melt tomorrow. Last, but certainly not least, let's put together a sauce. Here is a simple formula for every secret sauce recipe on the internet. The base is almost always an equal mixture of mayonnaise and ketchup. The zing in these recipes is provided by a small quantity of some acidic liquid. This could be hot sauce, pickle juice / relish, mustard, or, what I'm going to use here, some Worcestershire sauce. They then finish with some spices. I'm just going to use some garlic paste, though garlic powder is just as good. Mix that up and taste it. Mine needed a little more ketchup, and that's good. Now we come to the cooking portion. The timing on this can be very tricky. You're going to be cooking the onion, bread, and patties simultaneously, so understanding cook times on your equipment is critical for evenly heated end product. I would recommend starting the bread first, the onions second, and the patties last, as that is the order they will need to be done. The bread is easy. Just toss it into a toaster oven or toast both sides on the stovetop and pull when golden brown. Place buttered side down and top with pepper jack while the slices are still hot, so the cheese starts to melt. The onion is also pretty easy. Take a nonstick skillet, preferably a bit smaller than this one, and pour in a bit of olive oil. Heat the burner on medium and lay in the onion slice. Try to keep those layers together as the slice browns. Flip after a few minutes and brown the other side. Once done, just transfer it to one of the slices of toast on top of the cheese. The beef can be a bit tricky. A big disclaimer: if the ventilation in your kitchen isn't superb, you are 100% going to set off your smoke alarm. Now, legally, I can't tell you to take them from the ceiling or wall and remove them from the kitchen for the duration of cooking, placing them back after the smoke dissipates. So, make sure everything is well ventilated. Also, this will cover your stove with a layer of grease. So if your stovetop is a pain to clean, maybe consider grilling your patties. Those big caveats notwithstanding, take your widest, high-temperature resistant pan, don't use nonstick, and add a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil. Heat it on medium-high for a few minutes until you can see wisps of smoke rising. This is how you know the pan is about 400 degrees. Perfect temperature for burger patties. Just set those burger balls into the searing hot pan and, using a large, flat spatula, smash them down as flat as they will easily smash. Sprinkle a generous amount of salt on both patties and a lot of black pepper. Incidentally, this is how I learned to cook burgers in my diner cook days. After 4 to 6 minutes, you should visibly see the sides browning and a crust forming on the bottom. Go ahead and flip them over. There should be a nice crust all over the surface. Cook those for a few more minutes, and you will know it's done when you see clear liquid pooling on top of the patties. Top one of them with one more slice of pepper jack, and stack the other one on top. Before placing the patties on the sandwich, spread a generous portion of that sauce on the slice. Set the patties down, and carefully flip the other slice over the top. And here is the finished sandwich. Due to its size, I like to cut it into 2 more manageable halves. I really can't describe how good that is, and it comes together real quick if you have everything in place. Once again, I would like to emphasize that timing is important. For the 10 minutes that you are cooking, you need to have awareness of where everything is at in the cooking process. This is a high maintenance process, so make sure you have a good handle on your equipment before trying something like this. Lastly, you may notice that every cooking process in this recipe could be accomplished on the grill. This is an excellent idea, and I recommend doing this, but you will need to form the burger patties beforehand. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Next week, I hope to show an easy weeknight beef stroganoff.